Hello, and welcome to Honest Philosophical Ramblings. Today is a little bit more of a personal video, and I wanted to share about what it's like to be a demisexual man in today's world. And if you are hearing the term demisexual and you're extremely confused, I'm going to explain what that is. I know we're living in a world of a lot of different labels, and regardless of how you feel about labels, I promise I'm going to make sure that this one makes sense. So, first, let's explain what demisexuality is. So, in terms of the spectrum of sexuality, you have, um, aside from heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, all those things, you have um, people who experience sexual attraction and people who don't. A person who never experienced sexual attraction ever is someone who is asexual. But you do have some people that experience sexual attraction very, very rarely. And some of those people fall into the demisexuality spectrum. So, again, I'm going to make it all make sense. But essentially, you have two types of attraction. So there's primary attraction and there's secondary sexual attraction. And primary sexual attraction, which most people experience, most people in the world experience, is essentially when you're attracted to somebody just out of their physical features. So you're walking on the street, you see somebody walking down the street, and you think, damn, I want to sleep with that person. Or you go out on a first date, you don't really know that person, but that person is physically attractive to you, and you feel, damn, I want to sleep with that person. Or let's say you go to the strip club, and there's some beautiful woman dancing, or man, and you feel like, damn, I feel attracted to that person. I would sleep with them. So that is primary sexual attraction. Secondary sexual attraction, which a lot of people experience, but not all of the time, is, say, you meet somebody, say, at school or work, wherever it is, and you are not initially attracted to that person at all. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. And the idea of sleeping with that person, kind of, you could say, would, to an extent, almost repulse you, even to that extent. But then over time, you get to know that person, you get to bond with them, and it could be months or years later, that person grows on you, and that person grows on you, and you get a crush. That is secondary attraction. And demisexuality is basically a person who never ever experiences primary attraction, but only secondary. So that is the best way that I can explain it. So most people, I don't know how many people, I would say probably close to like 99% of people in the world experience primary attraction. A large portion of those people also alongside do experience secondary attraction from time to time. So there's some coworker, you thought nothing of them for 6 months, and then after 6 months, just something about them catches your eye, and you feel attracted to them when you were initially kind of repulsed. So that's essentially the difference. But you have very, very few people who only experience secondary and never primary. So when it comes to demisexuality, it is someone who never, ever, ever experiences primary attraction, but only secondary. So when it comes to me specifically, for some context, I am 30 years old. And in my early 20s, I went on a lot of first dates. I've lost count. But never, ever, ever in my life have I ever been on a first date where I was attracted to somebody. That's never happened. Ever in my life. Never in my life have I been walking down the street and see a woman that I've never met and think, damn, I want to hit that. It's never happened. In my early 20s and even into my mid 20s, with some of my buddies, I would go to the strip club. You could say semi-regularly. But for me, it was more about the music, the athleticism of the dancing. But throughout all those years, I was never, ever, ever attracted to any of the women that were dancing. Never, not once. And for me, my demisexuality is to the point that, and for me, I could see, 10,000 hot naked people every single day. Every single freaking day. Nothing. I would not be attracted to not one of them. Not at all. And when it comes to being a man who doesn't experience primary attraction, it becomes difficult in a lot of different levels. Dating as a demisexual man is it's difficult, and the reason is, I remember in my early 20s when I would go on all these first dates, and whenever I had a woman be interested in me, because initially I am sexually repulsed, I remember in my early 20s I would try to be honest with these women about, hey, like, this is how I'm wired. It takes me a while to become attracted to somebody. So essentially I was letting them know to take things slow. At the time, 10 years ago, nobody ever got it. Nobody got it. And there's women that they try to understand it, but they never understood it. And then at one point, this must have been in my mid-20s at some point, I must have been, I don't know, 25, 26, I don't quite remember. And there was a woman that finally understood, or so I thought. And I explained to her, hey, like, this is how I'm wired. It takes me a while to become attracted to somebody. I'm in the asexual spectrum. It doesn't mean I won't be attracted to you, but I just need some time to get to know you, essentially is what I said. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. I get it. So I thought, cool. This woman was incredibly attracted to me. And it became very difficult for me, because I didn't really have a chance to talk to her at a deep level, at a deep emotional level, to get to know how she thought. And every single time we hung out, she wanted to make out with me and, like, sleep with me, and I was having none of it because I was still at that stage where I was sexually repulsed. A long story short, at the very end, everything ended in a huge, huge fight where she took my lack of attraction towards her personally. Like, oh, you're not attracted to me, so therefore you think I'm unattractive. So even though she said she understood it and she was going to give me time, she did not understand it at all. And it ended in a huge fight, and I never saw her again. This is a story that, even with my close friends, I didn't share for many, many years. Now, when it comes to today, it's kind of funny, the dynamics of men and women. So for me, it's like, I need to know someone. I need to be around a woman a number of times and to talk to her, to get to know her. What is she like emotionally? Like, how does she think? And then when I become attracted to the mind and the heart, then the sexual attraction follows. And for me, that is a process that can take months or it can take years. There's been instances where it has been years, in my case. And other instances where it's been months, although less common. And when it comes to the dating world, I find dating apps make everything very difficult. And when it comes to the dating world, something funny about the dynamics of men and women, I find that women who just want to be friends with me, typically they hang out around me like once every 3 months. I'm talking one-on-one. Like, you can see a woman regularly within your group of friends. But typically, if a woman just sees you as a friend, or at least in my case, they don't spend a lot of time around me. So maybe once every 3 months, we go out on a walk or a coffee, and it's friendly, platonic, cool, that's fine. And whenever a woman is interested in me, but every single time a woman is willing to spend time with me regularly, I'm talking about once a week, multiple times a month, every single time without fail, she wants to date me and she's interested in me. And because it takes me time to develop that attraction, when I come across a woman who is giving me signs to like hit on them or giving me signs to make a move, and mind you, let's say it's been 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks is not enough for me. And I just want to get to know them. And generally those women, if I don't make a move within, you could say a couple weeks, they don't hang out with me ever again because they feel rejected. It's just a really hard thing to navigate because maybe I do just want to be friends with a woman. But then if they want to be friends with me, because for the most part, women need time to get comfortable around a man, and if they just see you as a friend, they're not going to spend a whole bunch of time with you one-on-one. At least that's my experience. But then if a woman's hanging out with me so sporadically, it doesn't give me enough time to develop an attraction. And then if a woman is very attracted to me off the bat, and then they want me to make a move within a few weeks, and they don't give me time to get to know them, then they feel rejected if I haven't made a move in a couple weeks. And then next thing I know, they never want to hang out with me ever again. I think I'm at a stage in my life where I don't really feel down about it. But this was a very difficult thing for me throughout most of my 20s. Most of my 20s, it was just hard because I wanted to build a connection with someone. And every single time a woman was attracted to me, they never gave me the time to build emotionally because they felt rejected. And even if I tried to explain, hey, like, well, I don't experience primary attraction, the vast majority of people don't get it. The vast majority of people in general just either they don't think it's a thing, or at the end they just take it personally. Like, if he doesn't make a move on me, why am I going to waste my time? And then next thing I know, they're gone. And there's been women that I've wanted to get to know over time that I'm not attracted to, but I feel like, like there's something about her personality that if I got to know her better, I feel like I could become attracted. And there's one woman in particular that I can think of. I just wanted to get to know her, and so I sent her a text to hang out. And she essentially said, oh, I can't hang out. Like, she was always busy and like this or that. And mind you, I knew this woman for years, for many, many, many years. And early on, she was attracted to me. But during the time that she was attracted to me and whenever we would hang out, she would always expect our interactions to be sexual in some way. Or she was always giving me hints or like, you know, touching my thigh or like my shoulder, just like giving me all the signs for me to make a move. And every single time that I wanted to just go out on a walk with her or for dinner or just to talk to her, she never really followed through. But it's funny because multiple times when she was single, she would keep coming back and giving me all these signs. And many, many years later, we actually got quite close. It was during the lockdowns. So we were texting a lot. And it was during that year that we were spending a lot of time texting, and I was talking to her, getting to know how she thought, getting to know how she was emotionally, the things that interested her, like just everything beyond the physical. That's when I developed feelings. And mind you, this was years later after she had tried to essentially date me. And by the time that I had developed feelings years later, she was kind of over it, and she wasn't attracted to me anymore at that point. But what I'm getting to is that when I was open to getting to know her at an emotional level, she never really gave me the time. Because there was this expectation, oh, as a man, if I'm giving you signs, if you don't make a move, like, you're not interested, so I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm just going to keep you at a distance, and, like, you know, there's all these dynamics. And I've had other similar things happen as well. Yeah, but when it comes to dating in 2024, especially as a man who doesn't experience primary attraction, it becomes difficult because you need to spend time around someone for that person to grow on you. And unless a woman is already sexually interested in you, they're not going to spend a lot of time with you. And if you do spend a lot of time with a woman who is attracted to you, or at least in my case, then they're like waiting for the move. They're giving the signs. They're being touchy, like all of these things. And if I'm at a stage where I haven't built that attraction, I'm not going to make a move. And then they take it personally, and then they're gone. And I'm making this video just basically to share my experience. And I'm curious to know how other men navigate this. I'm assuming that when it comes to demisexual women, navigating it is probably a lot easier. Because in general, women, not always, but it's more common for women to take their time. So even if a woman is very much attracted to somebody, not always, but I would say a number of women, they hold some reservation in moving things physically until they know that they vibe with a person at other levels as well. So I feel like demisexuality is more, I don't want to say given towards women, but if women take their time, and if it takes time for somebody to grow on them, people are not really going to question that much. Because it's more natural for women to take their time. But if a man isn't down to sleep with somebody right away, something's wrong. He's not interested, or like that's a red flag, or like whatever it is, and then people take it personally and they feel rejected and whatever. If anybody comes across this video, like I want to know, like, what is your experience like as a demisexual man? What is dating like? What is it like to try and connect with someone? What is it like to try and have a deep, like initially platonic friendship? And for me, like, a lot of my friendships don't ever leave the platonic level. So there's a lot of women that I've known for a very, very long time. Never been attracted to, probably never will be. Like, there has to be a certain vibe for me to become attracted to someone. And there's a lot of women that don't fit that vibe. And for people that say, oh, you don't need to be attracted to somebody to date them. Sure, I see where you're coming from. But in asexuality, like, you have a lack of attraction, not wanting to sleep with somebody, and then you also have all the way to like sexual repulsion. So for me, if I am not attracted to somebody, I am literally sexually repulsed. What I mean by that, I don't want to cuddle with someone. I don't want to hold their hand. I don't want to kiss them. Like, nothing. So if I am not attracted to a woman, it's like all or nothing. I'm attracted or I'm not. Like, I want to sleep with you or I'm sexually repulsed. And I have forced myself to try and date women that I'm not attracted to. It doesn't work. Because by default, everybody is in the repulsed category. Meaning that even the idea of kissing someone, it's repulsive to me. The idea of sleeping with them, I can't. It's complete repulsion. I know that there are asexuals or demisexuals who are okay with kissing and holding and cuddling when there's no sexual attraction. For me, it's like repulsion or attraction. Like, there's kind of nothing in between. So, to everybody that's saying you don't need to be attracted to someone to date them, sure. But there's a difference between feeling neutral about someone in terms of attraction and feeling repulsed. If the idea of kissing somebody kind of makes you want to gag, for a lack of a better way of explaining it, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I have tried to force myself to date women that I am repulsed by, and I know that sounds mean, and that doesn't mean that they're repulsive. It just means that I am not attracted to them. It doesn't work. Like, how are you supposed to date somebody when you don't want to hug them, where the idea of kissing them like grosses you out. The idea of sleeping with them grosses you out. Even if the thought of it is like outside of the realm of anything that you want to do, how are you supposed to how are you supposed to like fake, like how are you supposed to date that person? You can't. It would be the equivalent of a straight man trying to date a man. Like, if that's not your thing, forcing yourself into it might make the other person feel okay initially, but on the inside, you just want to run. And that's what it's like for me. If I'm not attracted to somebody, I'm just automatically in the sexually repulsed category. And if I spend enough time with someone and I get to know them at a deeper level emotionally, like how they think, and I become attracted to who they are on the inside, then the attraction will follow. And then that's when I can start to have a lot of these sexual thoughts and feelings, when somebody grows on me. But yeah, that's my experience. And I'm curious to know, for men out there, or women, like, what's your experience? And if you happen to come across this video, like, just share your story. Like, I'm just curious to know, like, how do you navigate this? Like, how do you navigate this, especially in the modern world? Like, how do you make it work? What are your struggles? Thank you for watching. And if you like what I have to say, subscribe, and I'll be posting some more content. I appreciate it. Sending you all the best. Bye-bye.